it's me. Today is Saturday, October 27th, and it's 50 degrees and it's raining. It's actually like 48 degrees and it's raining, and I'm in my onesie. So I'm in my happy place, obviously. It's Saturday afternoon. I've been stitching a good part of the morning and binge watching Gerald Stitcher, Confessions of a Flosstuber, to be specific. I was watching Teresa Little Stitcher and her update this morning, and she mentioned Gerald's Confessions of a Floss Stitcher series, and I haven't watched them. Shame on me. It's actually on pause right now, so I went back and I've just been watching from the very beginning, and I love them. I really, really love them. It's a great concept. So it looks like he does it every 2 weeks. So yeah. And Gerald, if you're ever interested, have your people call my people. I'm totally down. Yeah, looks like fun. So today's portion of the video, I'm trying the vlogging thing again because it seemed to be very successful. Rather than trying to gather up a whole bunch of stuff and get it together all at the beginning of it in one shot. So, yeah, so now here we are on a Saturday in a onesie. It's what we do. But I'm going to show you a few of the starts that I've had, a couple of the manic starts that I've had that just didn't get very far, but I started them. And I thought it would be fun to share my fabric haul from Harrisburg. It's pretty cool. Like I said in my last video, they had a few stand-up shops there. Needleworkers Delight was there, Under the Sea Fabrics, Shepherd's Bush, Bush Mountain Stitchery. I think that was it. The tag will tell me in a minute. There were other shops there, but those were the three main shops that I kept revisiting. So I got a nice haul. And I got a couple of fabrics that are very different that I have no idea what I'm going to do with, but if you know me, if you know my stitching style, you know that I am one to buy an interesting fabric and choose the pattern later. And one of them is very interesting in the best possible way, but I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. So I'll share a few of those WIPs, something I got in the mail yesterday. And speaking of Gerald Stitcher, I was enabled by him for one pattern, one project that I received in the mail, I think about a week or two ago. And I forgot about it. And then I was re-enabled by Pip Stitch, Philip, when he showed his project. And I decided at that time that I was supposed to have it too, so I got it. So let's start with the WIPs. These are not WIPs I'm actively working on at the moment. Obviously, these are just things that I started randomly. So I will just randomly show them to you. So the first one is Vintage Birds by Jeanette Douglas Designs. Love this pattern. I don't know what my thing is with stitching birds. It's gone beyond peacocks at this point. I'm loving stitching birds. I mean, I don't know. I won't even try to explain it. It's just my flavor of the month right now. So this is Vintage Birds by Jeanette Douglas Designs, and I have all of the called for threads in here. So this is fully kitted, but I just recently started it, I don't know when, maybe about a month or so ago, and this is, I don't know what the fabric is. It's an XJU fabric. Maybe I put it in the bag. Maybe I was a responsible stitcher and put it in the bag. But of course I was not. So I want to say this is old sand, old gold, something like that. I don't know. So we're going to stop now. But it is an XJU fabric, and that is my humble beginning on that, with the little baby in a cat costume picking his nose. These fabrics smell so good. So that's my little humble beginning on the bird. It's right there in the middle. So that's that. Didn't get very far on it. Just, I don't know, I think I just picked it up one night and decided to start it. It wasn't high tea or anything like that. I just did. Now this one, I love this pattern. I love this pattern so much. I started it not once, not twice, but 3 times. No, I started it twice. The first time I started it was on an XJU fabric. And the Silks For You that I chose was entirely too light. Like it was just fading into the fabric. So I was not feeling it. So I went completely on the opposite end of the spectrum. And I chose this XJU Bright Turquoise. And I'm stitching it with Karen Wildflowers, 1 strand. Let me get up close. I can't see, but hopefully you can see the variegation. I thought that was really cool. This is Karen Wildflowers. It's a mixture of rusts and teals, and pumpkins, and blues. So I thought it would be a cool contrast to this beautiful turquoise fabric. And both are showing pretty accurately right there. So that's my humble beginning on that with Mr. Bean. And again, I'm starting in the middle. Ever since my snafu with my beloved tribal monkey, I'm pretty much starting everything in the middle because I don't trust myself anymore. I mean, I can count. I'm minored in accounting. I can count. But ever since tribal monkey and Lily of the Woods, I don't trust myself with cross stitch math. I think it's a new type of math. So I'm starting in the middle, going back to basics and making sure I don't mess up again, because Lily of the Woods, I basically have to frog the whole thing. Tribal monkey was just a sad disaster. If you didn't see it on Instagram, I don't think I made a video. Well, I know it happened within the last 8 months, so I'd never made a video about it, but tribal monkey that I was stitching on that beautiful antique violet fabric from XJU Designs, coming out beautifully. I got half of his head done, or the upper left quadrant of his head done, and everybody kept saying how big he is. I can't believe how big he is. And I was like, yeah, he's really big. And it was on 28 count over 2. And I was stitching it horizontally, on the horizontal axis, I should say. And one day I just looked at it and I was like, this is really big. Like, this is just his forehead. How is the whole bottom half of his head and his chin going to fit on this fabric? So I went back to the kit. It was a Gecko Rouge kit. And when I looked again at the pattern, what I looked at for the measurements was the actual design size, and I thought it was the fabric size. So obviously, wait a minute, am I saying that right? I might have it backwards. I don't know. What am I trying to say? The actual design size was the fabrics. Oh my God. It was too small. I was looking at the fabric size, but it was actually the design size, so the fabric is entirely too small. That's what I'm trying to say. So I thought he would fit on a fat quarter over 28 count. Absolutely not. He's a big boy. So I switched it out to a piece of 25 count over 1, and I started in the middle. So between that and Lily of the Woods, I'm kind of starting a lot of things in the middle, with the exception of what I'm about to show you. And the reason why I couldn't start that in the middle was because I wanted to change something on it. So this is, making sure it's closed, Good in Everything by Rosewood Manor. It is fully kitted. Tracy had a live destashing sale, and she was selling this whole entire kit, including the fabric, and I bought it. Now the fabric was 32 count platinum, I believe, fat quarter of 32 count platinum. And I used the fabric, I actually used that fabric for Dragons of Sumatra. So for this, I just got another piece of fabric out of my stash, which is very similar. But for this one, let's go back to the pattern. The quote on there says, "In this our life, exempt from public haunt, finds tongues in trees, books in the running brooks, sermons in stores, and good in everything." Or sermons in stones, and good in everything. I love the quote. But I think for me, there was a lot that was going on. There was a lot that was going on in the world, and this quote from Maya Angelou has always meant something to me, but also at the time there was a lot going on politically, and I'll just leave it at that. And I found the quote to be even more appropriate. So I changed the quote for my own personal reasons, not because I don't like the quote that Karen Kluba chose. And here is my start, and that's all that I've done so far is the quote. So the quote is from Maya Angelou, and Dr. Maya Angelou, excuse me. And thank you, Jasmine, for reminding me. I need to put doctor in front of her name. Jasmine didn't tell me to, but she said, she left me not left me a message, but left a comment on my post in the group saying how much she loved Dr. Maya Angelou. And I was like, that just reminded me I really need to put that doctor in front of her name. But it says, "And she goes where she will without pretense and arrives at her destination prepared to be herself and only herself." And that's what I wanted the quote to say. So that's what I did. This was my first time recharting an entire quote on letters, an entire quote on a pattern rather. So I had to rearrange the lettering a little bit and the spacing, but I think it worked out very well. And the grid kept me honest. I didn't need the grid necessarily to stitch this, but to make sure that the words left enough space to stitch the actual pattern according to the stitch count and the where it was supposed to be in the pattern. So I can stitch the rest of it exactly as it is charted, where the stitches are supposed to go, and that's what the gridding helped me do. So that's that. And that's how far I got on that. I stitched the words and then I put it away. So this is a WIP for another day. And that was a rhyme. I want to say, no, it was not my high tea start for last month. My high tea start for last month was Dragons of Sumatra. Yeah. We're going to talk about high tea in a minute because high tea is tomorrow. And for those of you that are not aware, I will explain exactly what high tea is all about when I'm done with this. So I'm going to seal that up later. It's giving me a hard time. So FLOSSTUBE retreat, which was back in May of 2018. I'm not going to go into detail. Those of you that were there know that there was a bit of a snafu with the raffle. That's all I have to say about that. There was a bit of a snafu with the raffle. And one of the things that I put my raffle ticket, there were several different patterns on, and I think there were a couple of kits or a couple of project bags or a bunch of things on the raffle table. And you had to put your tickets in the bag if you wanted, for the items that you wanted to bid on. So one of the things, the patterns that was on the table was Painted Wings by Kathy Barrick. Again, without going into detail, there was a snafu with the raffle, which resulted in me completely removing myself from participation. I messed it up. So I never got the pattern, obviously. And then at the, fast forward of several months, at the Herndon Stitch Fest retreat, no, I'm lying. It was Jessie's video. One of Jessie's recent videos, she showed Painted Wings, which was the pattern that I wanted, one of the patterns that I wanted, and she said it was now out of print. So I went looking for it online. I found the company that had it, and I purchased it. I'm not going to say the name of the company because I think it might have been an honest mistake. And they did right by me with it, so it's all good. But then they contacted me a few days after I completed the purchase to say, we don't have it and it's out of print, so we can't get it. So I was like, okay. Then I went to the Herndon retreat and I was talking to Jessie about it. And she suggested going on Kathy Barrick's shop on Etsy. She didn't have it. But I did find it on Jen's Stitching Niche, and I got it yesterday. So this is Painted Wings by Kathy Barrick. Don't know when I'm going to start it, but it's now out of print and I have it. So this is one of those patterns. I will definitely make a working copy for it so I can keep this in decent condition and pay it forward. Which is also what I plan to do with Lady of the Flag, by the way. Whenever I do anything with her. So where was I? Oh, so the pattern that I was enabled to purchase based on what Ginger Gerald showed quite some time ago and what Pip Stitch showed, I believe, in his most recent video or one of his most recent videos, was none other than Fairy Tale Town by Abrice Art. Now, what you can't tell necessarily from this photo, but what Philip so effectively showed in his video was how long this is. The fabric that I received is 68 inches, which is the equivalent of my height. So if you ever run into someone, or if you yourself are 5'8", that's how long the fabric is. It's a big one. And it's on 14 count Aida, and it was on super stiff Aida. I don't mind Aida at all, but I hate the stiffness. I hate the amount of sizing that is often put into some Aida. I really like hand-dyed Aida because all of that is washed out. And it softens up the fabric and it's easier to manipulate. But this was that type of, it's not as bad as some where it stands up on its own. But it was pretty stiff, and that I don't like stitching on that. So I decided I was not only going to soak it to get the sizing out, but I decided I was going to hand dye all 68 inches of the fabric. And so I did. And I just wanted something neutral. So I mixed some tan, I mixed some grays, and I came up with, well, let me show you this first. You can see this is all rolled up. You can see how thick this is. It's like a little baby bolt of fabric, basically. It's a baby bolt. So this is my hand-dyed fabric. I have to be careful. I need to take care of these edges. Look at that. It's already starting to unravel, and the fabric that they gave you gives you 2 inches of selvage. Okay, so it's super wrinkly, which is fine, but you can see how the hand-dyed came out. It's a little bit of modeling. It's dark, but it's not too dark. But I like how, I believe I like how this will look much better than it on white, which is nothing wrong with it on white, but I knew I wanted to add a little bit of color. Initially, I was just going to copy dye it, but I had the tan and the gray, and I just was like, yeah, I didn't put any effort into it, really. I just kind of did it. Look at that. I got to take care of this because this gives you like I said, 2 inches of selvage on each side. So I need to protect these edges as much as I can. I didn't treat the edges yet, but I'm going to. This might be a reason for me to pull out my sewing machine because there's no way I'm doing this with freight check. No way. So that is for Fairy Tale Town. And here, did I pull out the threads to show you? Crinkle, crinkle. Here are the threads for Fairy Tale Town. So it's a whole kit. And, you know, I like my BAPs. And this this would be the biggest project I am. Bigger even than the 5-foot peacock that I have. And it's detailed stitching. So it's not focusing. It's being stupid, whatever. There you go. It's detailed stitching. So this will be finished never. Right? But that is what I've been up to with some of the WIPs. Like I said, I've had some new starts over the past 8 months, obviously. This isn't all of them, but see, these are some of the ones that were within arm's reach. That I just thought I would share because I knew you guys would appreciate seeing it. So I don't know when any of these are going to come out. Like I said, I'm kind of still focusing on the finish with peacocks and posies. And she's locked down on my needlework stand right now, so I'm not going to pull it out. But obviously there will either be footage before this video or after this video where you can see exactly where I am. So now on to the fabric. Yeah, that was the theme song for this segment of the show. I don't know. So in no particular order, this was the fabric that I purchased at the Harrisburg retreat, because when you have all of those fabric vendors in one location, you tend to buy fabric. So the first one I will show you is Evergreen by Under the Sea Fabrics. And this is 32 count Belfast fat quarter. Let me fold them in half so you can see it a little better. Yep, that's about right. Nice and rich. I told Leslie when I bought it, I said it reminds me of the earth. So, with the greens and the blues and the way it's placed. This one is Under the Sea Fabrics Heaven's Fury. It is an 18 count Aida, and it is opalescent. And I have never, in all my years of stitching, stitched on anything opalescent. And where are the sparklies? That's that. It's pretty accurate. Let me see something. Yep, it's pretty accurate. Oh yeah, okay. So turning off the light helped a lot. Showing Evergreen again. This piece is from Seraphim Hand-Dyed Fabric by Lori. Never heard of this fabric before, but I think this was, well, I know from Bush Mountain Stitchery. They're set up at the Harrisburg retreat, and this is Jumpin' Jehoshaphat. Look at that. No idea what I'm going to do with it. I believe this is a fat 8, so, and it's 36 count. This piece also came from the Bush Mountain Stitchery stand. This is 32 count Lugana in Dumbledore. I'm sorry. Humble Whore. No, it's not called Humble Whore. Oh, man, it's classic. Dumbledore. I couldn't read her handwriting. Humble Whore. And that's that. It's a half yard of it. Very nice. Minty green. Minty. Very nice minty green with some purple, very pale lavender modeling in there. This piece is 32 count linen in Sleepy Hollow. No idea. Maybe a mirror. I'm smelling it. Maybe a mirror. I don't know. I saved this one for last because it's a doozy. Then I went to the Needleworker's Delight table, of course, and I just picked up some stuff. Clay Pebble 32 count Belfast, just neutral. No bells and whistles with that. This was 32 count Wexford linen in Tranquility. And that's pretty. Trying to show both sides so you can really see it. This camera is doing very well with showing fabric. Actually, this was part of the exchange package. I think my exchange partner gave this to me because she said, actually, did she give me both? I think she gave me both of these. I don't think I bought these. Or maybe just this one, but she said it reminded her of peacock colors, which she knew that I liked. So this one was in my exchange gift. Now this one I purchased because it reminded me of peacock colors. And this came from Bush Mountain Stitchery. I really think it was Bush Mountain that was there. Not Shepherd's Bush, it was Bush Mountain Stitchery. Yes, it was. This is 32 count Belfast and Thriller. Now that reminded me of peacock. That's why I chose this. No idea what I'm stitching on it. Okay, and here we have the linens that I purchased from that place. So Needleworker's Delight, not Silkweaver. Silkweaver Fabrics purchased from Needleworker's Delight. Whatever, you understand. This is 32 count Wexford linen in Days Gone By. Neutral with some modeling in there. Oh, another minty green. Mindy, I must have been channeling you. This is a 32 count, my nose itches, I'm sorry. 32 count Wexford linen, Lily of the Valley. Very pretty, minty green. Love Silkweaver's fabrics. This is a 36 count Edinburgh in dark mocha. This is 32 count Lugana in Winter Winds. It's a perfect sky fabric. And I just got a piece from my Color and Cotton fabric of the month that looks very much like this. So, and we were talking about perfect sky fabrics at the Herndon Stitch Fest retreat. So I'm really glad, Jessie, that I didn't take a piece of that fabric you had and then I got the Color and Cotton one in the mail, so I'm pretty good on sky fabrics. But this is great. These types of fabrics, I was telling Jessie, always reminds me of Carolyn's giraffes because she had the foresight to stitch those giraffes with that sky colored fabric in the background, and it was magic. It just worked so well. This is another Under the Sea fabrics, and I believe this is a new color of hers. I'm not sure, but I think I heard somebody say that. It's Anubis, 32 count Belfast. I love the brown with the gold accents, the gold modeling. It's just gorgeous. Very antique-y looking. I really love that. And this is Under the Sea fabrics again, properly primitive, 40 count. Love that. Looks like a rock. Beautiful work. Don't know what I'm stitching on it. This final piece I got, I was drawn in by the colors, and I'm hoping I can get it all in here. This is 18 count Ada in Fiery Skies. It was an excellent price, so I took the whole half yard. Here we go. Now I ask you, what in the world am I stitching on this? I have no idea. Part of me wants to stitch it. Part of me wants to make it into a shirt. I don't know. I have this Mayan stone pattern from Pain. Don't remember the name of the company, but if I remember to, I will insert a picture of it here. This is a monochromatic Mayan stone pattern that is huge. And I think I already looked at the stitch count, and for some reason I'm thinking this half yard wasn't big enough for it, or maybe it was. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Then I was thinking of my fish. Remember that fish pattern from way back when? I haven't worked on that thing in years. I need to pull that back out. I've always liked that pattern. Anyway, I just went down a rabbit trail there. But anyway, my Mayan stone, I have to double check, but I think I already checked. See that up close? It's really pretty. I think I already checked. And I don't know why I'm thinking that this was too small of a piece of fabric for my Mayan stone. I'm not sure what. I have to double check. But that's what I thought of, just with straight up black thread. What I do know is whatever I stitch on this will probably be in black thread. I can see that Mayan stone on this made into like a pillow. And something just to keep in, you know, my craft room when I grow up and I have my own room dedicated to just my crafts. Because this is something I wouldn't put on my wall, but I think it would make an amazing, huge, colorful throw pillow. And I think the Mayan stone would do perfectly on it. So I'm going to double check that. But that was my fabric haul from the Harrisburg retreat. And like I said in my last video, I think I spent more time going back to those stand-up shops than I did actually stitching. And now you see what I mean. Yeah. So I think that's all for now. Obviously there will be more to come. Probably just with my progress on peacocks and posies, but I thought this would be a nice filler to make it a little bit of a meatier video. All right, so thank you for watching, and I will chat with you guys soon. Bye. Because it is high tea, and I'm thinking about doing this pattern. This was sent to me from Mika while she was at the Netherlands retreat, and she sent me a picture of the pattern. It was like, would you like it? I was like, of course I would. So she sent this to me. And this I actually purchased it. I didn't want her to have to pay for it. I actually purchased it, but when she sent it to me, she was kind enough to gift me this piece of fabric as well, 40 count Zweigart in Fallen Leaves, which is absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. But I'm thinking this might be my new high tea start. I'm not sure if this is the pattern that I want to use. I have to look around a little bit, give it some thought. But what I do know that I want to use for high tea I'm doing things a little bit differently. I want to use some floss from my stash. So I'm focusing more on using this floss for high tea than I am for which pattern. So this is African Violet. This is a Haviland embroidery floss from London. This is sold by this. Well, no, I didn't even purchase this. I'm going to tell you the story behind this. This was sent to me by Yarnstitchick, Michelle, on Instagram, and she has an online shop, and I believe it's a brick and mortar shop as well in London called Jacko's Corner. But years ago, she was trying to figure out a name for this fabric, and she ran a contest, and she said to submit a name, and whoever's name was chosen will win some of this floss. And I chose African Violet because it looks like an African violet to me. Or it doesn't look like it, but it reminds me of the colors in an African violet. And that is what it is named. And if you go online on Jacko's Corner, you will see African Violet. And I'm quite tickled to say that I named that. And this was my prize. She sent me 3 skeins of it, along with 2 additional skeins. And I don't know what the names of these are. This is a nice golden brown variegated. And this is a very nice rainbow. Reminds me of a unicorn. You can see, without me telling you, how, I'm going to use Teresa's word, how glossy they are. I don't know if it's actual silk. I honestly don't know, but it is soft as baby hair. It says silky embroidery thread. It does not say silk on it. So I honestly don't know if it's silk. What does it say? Individually hand dyed, made in London, Haviland embroidery. Haviland threads, Haviland embroidery threads. So I don't know if it's silk, but it sure is soft and it sure is shiny. So when I was watching Teresa's video on FLOSSTUBE, she showed some of these silks and was talking about how beautiful and glossy they were, and it made me remember that I had these from Michelle. And I was like, well, that's what I'm going to use for high tea. So my high tea start is going to be some type of pattern using these threads. Now, for those of you that don't know what high tea is, that is celebrated on the last Sunday of every month in the Friday Off the Grid group. And it's in the spirit of how you have high tea. It's a cause for celebration. It's kind of fancy, but it's really, in our world, it's an excuse to dig out those kitted up pieces that you have, those beautiful charts that you have, those beautiful flosses that you might have that you're not using, and start them. Start those projects. Use these beautiful pieces that we've been acquiring over months, years, weeks, however long, and celebrate them. And so for high tea for October, this is what I'm using. And I am celebrating this beautiful African violet floss. So as of right now, I think it's, look at that. As of right now, I think it's going to be this pattern that Mika sent me, but I'm not sure. It might change by tomorrow. So we'll see. Updates to come. That's it for now. Bye. And so for those of you that may have experience with using this thread, or those of you that may have this thread, I just talked about this. This is the de Havilland thread, de Havilland embroidery thread. It's extremely silky and glossy, but I don't believe it is a silk. It's absolutely beautiful, but I believe it's more of a rayon, just based on the feel. It feels like Edmar floss, Edmar rayon, but don't quote me on that. You cannot find this in the United States. This is only sold in London, and I got this from Jacko's Crafty Corner from Michelle, who is the Yarnstitchick on Instagram, and Jacko's Crafty Corner is her store in London. So I will leave that link below if any of you are interested in acquiring some of these threads, but they gave very specific instructions on how to unravel this. So it comes in, I'm not going to take this out, but I'm going to show you the one that I just did take out. You take off this piece right here, and there is a rubber band underneath it holding this end together. Keep that rubber band, and when you open it up, it's one big hank, like with Silks for You. So find an end of it and clip one end, just one end of the loop, the continuous loop, and then it tells you to braid the threads because apparently they may fray. These threads are prone to threading, so I'm probably going to use, aren't they beautiful? Some thread conditioner on these, absolutely. And it looks like you just stitch with one strand of it. It's not easy doing this one-handed. Oh, I just had it. So yeah, it looks like you would just stitch with one strand of it, but I would definitely use some type of thread conditioner on this. So once you snip the one end of the loop, the instructions tell you to braid them together and then secure them at the end, and then use your needle to pull out one thread at a time. So this is my braid, and I secured it with the rubber band. So obviously I probably need to braid that down a little bit more. And I will, because that's going to be a hot mess, isn't it? If it starts to unfray. But you can see how fine the threads are. So I don't know what I'm going to stitch with this. I'm almost thinking this needs to be a peacock of some sort. But each skein, according to the website on Jacko's Crafty Corner, each skein is approximately 200 meters, which is equivalent to 218 yards. I'm not doubting what she is telling me at all, but to me this does not look like 218 yards, but it very well may be, considering how fine it is. Maybe it is. What do I know? So I need to make sure that whatever pattern I choose, I have enough floss for it, because this is at these 3 skeins. Now that's what I meant when she said to pull out one strand. You just stick your needle underneath one strand here and pull. So I will tell you after high tea whether or not that worked. But you can see how beautiful it is. But this apparently, supposedly, is 218 meters, or 200 meters, which is 218 yards of floss. And it very well may be. I'm going to braid that down some more because I don't want that to fray on me. So hopefully within this video, I'll be able to show you how it's stitched up on my high tea start and let you guys decide if you are interested in getting some of this or not. But it is just so silky and soft and feels like a bunny. It's just that soft. Absolutely beautiful. So I just wanted to share that additional piece of info. All right, bye. Hey guys, happy Saturday morning to you. It is Saturday, November something or another. I think it's November 3rd. It is. It's Saturday, November 3rd. I just thought I would do a quick update for you. If you'll notice, I don't have on a onesie today, so you're welcome. Just a quick update on my WIPs and a couple of shout outs and some haul. So as far as WIPs go, well, let's start with the shout outs. I know in my last video I mentioned Kyle, who I have just recently discovered, but I have been binge watching him and catching up with him. And he gave me an amazing shout out on his video. Thank you so much, Kyle. I appreciate your kind words. And I've just been watching him and his adventures with his mirrors. He's acquired a great out of print collection of mirrors, and I think he's looking for 2 more. So go check him out. He is Stitching in Sound, and I will link him below. I really enjoy watching his videos. He's hilarious and quirky, and I just love everything about it. It's all in the best possible way. Also, my recent drug of choice has been a recommendation from Ginger Gerald Stitcher, who I spent a wonderful couple of hours with this morning. By now, you probably already know. I assume he has released his. He will release. Well, he says he will release his Confessions of a FLOSSTUBER on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. So by the time I upload this, it probably will already be out. And I had the absolute pleasure of spending a couple of hours with him this morning. We visited and talked about knitting and stitching and how we fell down a very similar rabbit trail that I will talk about in a moment. And it was just really nice catching up with him as always. The last time we talked one-on-one, I actually visited with him in person along with Caroline back in June, I believe, the first weekend in June, something like that. And it was really, really nice catching up with you this morning, Gerald. We have to do that again, most definitely. So my recent drug of choice, as I was saying, was recommended by Ginger Gerald in one of his most recent videos regarding the country stitchers. I will link them below as well. So Deb and Liz are a couple of stitcher friends that live in, I'm sorry, my husband just sent me a text asking me what I asked him to get from Dollar General. One moment. Back. Sorry about that. He went to Dollar General to pick up some cat litter, and I asked him to get me some mini lint rollers, which was also recommended as one of Liz's favorite gadgets. So Deb and Liz are a couple of stitcher friends. They're not actually sisters. They are stitcher friends. They've been friends for about 9 years. And they started doing FLOSSTUBE videos. I'm not sure how long ago, but I know they just uploaded their 34th one. And right now I think I'm on number 9 because I have to start at the beginning. And I have been binge watching them, and I will probably continue to binge watch them after this is done recording. They both have very similar tastes, but they also have very different tastes. I absolutely love their dynamic and the way they interact with one another. You can tell their friendship is genuine and is grounded, and I just think they're fantastic. They have a natural ease in front of the camera, and the way they complement one another just makes for a very enjoyable visit. So I really enjoyed watching them and learning from them. They have something where every single week it's something that they're teaching me or something that they're giving a great tip. They also do something every week that I just think is phenomenal, and I invite you to go watch them yourself to find out what it is that they do to spread the joy of needlework, as they say. But they're just fantastic to watch and very cozy to watch, if that makes sense. Very calming and comforting. And the only problem is I spent so much time during the Friday night stitching last night watching them that I barely got any stitching done because I was literally just watching. Big fan. So I'm glad that Ginger Gerald sent me their way. And Deb, if you by chance are watching, took me down a rabbit trail. And it started actually last week at the Friday Off the Grid high tea, where somebody posted one of their high tea starts, which was this amazing Jacobean tree. I don't remember the name of the designer, but it is a kit on 18 count Ada with some type of, I think it's French floss, I forget the name. But as soon as I saw it, it was one of those things where I had to have it, and I went searching on the internet and I found it, and it has not shipped yet, but I ordered it on October 28th as of today, just as it's fulfilled and not shipped. So of course I want it, and I want it now. But if that was not bad enough, Deb showed her finished Jacobean. It wasn't a Jacobean tree. It was more like a vine, for lack of a better word, on a bell pole. And if I had seen this pattern on just seen on sight alone, sight on scene, whatever that term is, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. If I just saw the pamphlet for what that had, or the booklet that had the pattern, I'm not sure that I would have purchased it. But when she held it up, it was so beautiful. I once again found my way kitty pawing through the internet, searching, kitty pawing through the internet, and I found it and I bought it. But not only that, it reminded me so much of the style of the pattern, the kit that I also purchased last week, that I started looking up Jacobean embroidery. Now this is a cross stitch. Both versions that I bought, both the bell pull pattern and the kit that I purchased, are both cross stitch. So Jacobean embroidery will give you a longer list of patterns to look at and learn more about it, but they most certainly have Jacobean style in cross stitch as well. And it took me down this deep and dark road where now I am looking up at everything dealing with Jacobean embroidery. I'm reading about the history of it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. It's beautiful. It's just got this understated beauty with these rich colors, and I just love the style. So when those come in, of course, I will show them to you and share them with you. But the funny thing was, I was talking to Gerald about it this morning, and I was talking about how I went down that rabbit hole with the pattern that Deb showed, and he promptly got up and went to go get his copy because he too was enabled. He got his copy last week. So I just thought that was so funny. So that both of us are going to have the pattern, but it's really beautiful. So if I can, I will insert a picture of it here, of both the kit that I purchased as well as the booklet from Deb's pattern in that order. I'll insert that here. So I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Kyle, Stitching and Sound, excuse me, and Deb and Liz from Country Stitchers for keeping me such great company this week. So from my Stitch With Me video last week, you know that I started a new high tea start, which was White Willow Stitching, White Willow Stitching's Tribal Cat. And I was stitching that using the de Havilland embroidery floss. Got a lot of questions about this floss. Where can you get it? Is it silk or is it faux silk? So I think I mentioned it in my last video, but you can only get this in the UK. And I believe it is only sold in a store called, online store. I believe it's a brick and mortar store in London. I'm not quite sure, but I know Jacko's craftycorner.com. I'll link it below, and it's also in my last video. Jacko's craftycorner.com has this beautiful de Havilland thread. Now somebody asks if it's actually silk or if it's faux silk. And what it says is it's silky. It doesn't say silk. It doesn't say rayon. It doesn't say anything. It just says silky embroidery thread, individually hand dyed, made in London, de Havilland embroidery. London, and it gives a phone number. Jacko's Crafty Corner has this in several colorways. This is African Violet, which I explained I actually named it for this thread. She needed a name. She ran a contest for what should the name of this floss be, and if your name was chosen, you would win some of this floss. And I said African Violet, and I won. And she sent me 3 skeins of this. This one skein is 200 meters, which is approximately 218 yards. And I have 3 of them, so I wanted to choose a pattern where I was certain I had enough. And I chose Tribal Cat from White Willow Stitching, which I started last Sunday. And I also decided, and I think I'm going to do this from here on out, to choose to stitch on my high T start from the previous month on every Friday in the following month, just to make sure I get some love put into it and it's not just a new start and it goes in the back in the bag for a year. So I'm going to be stitching on this every Friday evening for the Friday night stitching. And this is my progress. So as you can see, it's made up of several little shapes. You see a bell, you see a swirl, you see a pipe, or, oh, I'm holding it the wrong way. I'm sorry. There's a swirl, there's a bell, there's a starfish, looks like a music note or a pipe, looks like an upside down Christmas tree, a heart, maybe an anchor, and a couple of just little odd shapes to fill it in. But all of these shapes are going to come together to make a tribal cat. So White Willow has several patterns like this in the Tribal Animal series. I know they have a giraffe. I know they have a hippopotamus that Steph from Pam and Steph just finished recently within the last couple of months at one of the retreats they went to. Maybe it was last 6 months. I don't know. It was recently. They have a giraffe, several different animals. They have a panda bear. I have the panda bear as well. But this is my progress on that. So this will go back in the project bag until next Friday. You can't really see up close, maybe you can, how shiny it is. But it's not like shiny like acrylic or metallic by any stretch of the imagination. But it does have a beautiful sheen to it. But just looking at it, you can't really tell if it's cotton or silk. But that just reminded me, I was talking about what somebody asked me if it's actually silk. I don't believe that it is. And the reason why I don't believe that the threads are actually silk is, number one, if it's 200 meters of it, I think it would say that. I think that would be one of the first things that it advertises. So I believe it's a rayon, but it stitches up beautifully. I go with shorter length, so I'll take out one entire strand and I'll cut it in half to make sure it doesn't fray. It's a little bit easier to work with that way. And in my Stitch With Me video, I said that I use Thread Heaven on it. And I actually like stitching it without Thread Heaven. It doesn't snag, it glides beautifully. So I haven't been using Thread Heaven on it since that Stitch With Me video. So if you can, go to jackoscraftycorner.com and get yourself some. Another reason why I don't think it's silk is because, like I said, it's 200 meters, and I think it's like the equivalent of $3 and some change in US dollars. So I've never seen 200 meters of silk for $3. So yeah, check that out. But it's a pleasure to stitch with. It's not messy. The only pro tip I can give you, if that's what you want to call it, is I use a size 24 with that, because if you try to use a smaller eye needle, it most certainly will snag and fray on you. So you want to use a larger eye needle. So I just use a size 24, and that is on 32 count Lugana, and it's working fine. I haven't had any issues whatsoever. So the next project I've been working on is my Focus on a Finish, which is Peacocks and Posies. And this is where we are with this. What you're looking at here is the flower that I'm actively working on using the Karen Water Lilies stained glass. And I think this is my favorite flower of the bunch because the colors in it are just really beautiful. And I just really appreciate how it looks. And I'm enjoying the design, stitching it together. All of those little crosses up here had a nice repetitive geometric pattern, and it just appealed to me. So I really enjoyed this flower, but he's coming to an end because I'm working on the base of the flower pot now. It's almost done. So when I stitch this flower, there's another little peacock that's going to go right here, and then a big boy that's going right here in royal blue, in this color right here. And then after that, I believe all I have left to do is the alphabet at the bottom, finish up the alphabet. That's done in this color. I know Peacocks and Posies is actually spelled out next to the letter P in the alphabet. And then there's a few posies mixed in there, in between the alphabet somewhere. And then there's a border at the bottom. So actually, after saying all that, I don't know when it's going to be finished, but it's going to be very soon. But it may not be as soon as I think, because that's a lot. So I appreciate all of the feedback and comments that I received on my last video in regard to how I saved that near hole. Excuse me, I really appreciate that feedback because that was a bit of a stressful moment there. But a lot of people had some feedback about the lightweight interfacing, suggesting that when I'm done, I stretch it over. I put the interfacing on the back of the entire project before I make it into a pillow, and that's exactly what I intend to do. So when I reinforced that area with the additional stitching and kind of reinforced it further with some lace work in the back, it's fine for now. It's not going anywhere at this point, but I am going to reinforce and put the interfacing on the whole entire back to protect it before I make it into a pillow. So thank you all for your support and your kind words and your feedback, and also for warmly welcoming me back into FLOSSTUBE. I really appreciate all of your comments. One of the questions Gerald asked me was what was one of my favorite things about making YouTube videos. And hands down, my favorite part of making videos is you guys. Your comments, your feedback, your appreciation of my contribution to the community. I love it. I love the fact that you are there to appreciate everything that I have to show you. Because, you know, in my real life, I don't have people that do this with me or appreciate it on the level that I do. Like my husband, of course, he appreciates what I do. He loves the fact that I do it and he admires my work. But I think if you're actually a needle worker, you have a different level of appreciation of the work that goes into it, and a different level of excitement when you see the colors and when you see how everything comes together and comes to life. I just really appreciate you. So yeah, that was the answer to my question. You guys are the absolute favorite part of me doing videos, and I do it for you as much as I do it for me. Obviously, it gives me a record of the things that I have worked on, but I love sharing it with you. So thank you for being there, and thank you for your kind words and your support and just your presence over the past 4 years. It's been a fun ride, and I'm happy to be back. So that was it for my works in progress. This is all I worked on and all I will work on, probably, maybe, until Peacocks and Posies is finished, or until my Jacobean tree gets here and puts a kink in everything. We'll see. So haul. I've gotten some haul. Not a lot, but a bit. The first thing I want to show you is not haul. It's something that I got several months ago. Longer, maybe 7 or 8 months ago. A long time ago. Maybe not that long. I have no idea when I got it. But it was before July, well before July, because July was Caroline's birthday. And we had planned to start this together as her birthday new start. I found this pattern and I sent her a picture of it because she was doing English paper piecing quilting at the time. She probably still is. She has an ongoing project that she works on, and she was actively talking about English paper piecing. She did a couple of videos on how to do English paper piecing, and it was a big thing in her crafty life at the time. And I found this pattern, and I was shocked because, number one, it's not like any long dog pattern I have ever seen. And number two, it's English paper piecing is what it is. So this is Quilted Bees by Long Dog Samplers. And you can see by the shape, if you know anything about English paper piecing in quilting, you know that that is what that is. And I showed it to her and she immediately wanted it. And we decided we were going to start it on her birthday, or maybe that was hoity-toity. I might be lying. Maybe it was hoity-toity that was started on her birthday. I don't know, but I know she wanted this. So here's mine. I have a very humble start to it. I don't even have any business showing this. Like, seriously. Like, seriously. That is what I've done. So, I'm not showing this to show it as a WIP. I'm showing this because this was something, I wasn't sure how I was going to finish it until I saw what I'm about to show you. So I wasn't sure I was going to finish it, frame it, pillow. Though it's not going to be a pillow, and I'm going to show you why. I found a fat quarter of fabric called French General. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, seriously. How could it not be a pillow with this as the back? So this is the piece of fabric that I found with the same English paper piecing pattern in the same colorway. It's just ridiculous. The only thing that's missing are some bees. No, there aren't any bees in here. But isn't that amazing? Isn't that just ridiculous? Like, it's enough of a contrast for it to be interesting, but it's enough similarity for it to be perfection. So, with all these ideas for pillows I have, obviously I need to get my sewing machine out of the garage sooner than later because things are about to happen. So I wanted to show you that. My nose is itching. I also fell down this Joan Elliott rabbit hole. Never been much of a Joan Elliott stitcher, but apparently I have become one. A while ago I got the Woodland Goddess and her peacock. I haven't stitched them yet, obviously, but I got both of those patterns. And then I saw a long time ago on either one of her videos or on her blog from Minnie from All X's, this, and then I came across it again recently. This is called Africa by Joan Elliott, and after seeing Minnie's, I know exactly how beautiful it is stitched up. But I love the mud cloth border here. I love the containers that are surrounding her. I love the beautiful print of her head wrap and her dress. I just love it. I just love it. So I got that from 123 Stitch. And then I got the Red Geisha. I just think she's beautiful. Beautiful. And I got some beads and some sort of DMC light effects. I don't know. I don't even know which one goes with which. I'm assuming the red goes with the Red Geisha. But I don't know which one the beads have, but they go with one of these two patterns. So I'll sort that out and get them up. But got that from 123 Stitch along with this because I thought it was pretty. I just thought it was pretty. And this was in the back of the booklet. I kind of want that one. I have no idea what I would do with it. I just want to stitch it. So I might have to look for that. I don't think I've seen it before. So in my last video, or one of my last videos, I mentioned I was going onto a website where I ordered painted wings, and then they came back and told me that they didn't have it, which was fine. And I'm purposefully not naming the website because I don't want to deter anybody from them, because they were advertising something that they actually didn't have. But I had a couple of other things in my cart with that order for painted wings, and they asked me if I wanted something in exchange for that, because I'd already paid for it. So of course, gave me a reason to shop around, right? So I did. And out of this, I already had 2 patterns in my cart for patterns that I've always wanted, one of which I could never find. Not quite my unicorn pattern, but I've been looking for it ever since Bev from Palette PC stitched it. And I believe Ingeborg stitched it as well. But I think Bev stitched it first. And every time I looked for it, I couldn't find it. And that was Mother Maya. Right up my alley. Love this pattern. And now it's mine, and I'm very happy. So I got that one. I also got Hanky Pasanky, which is an oldie but a goodie. I am probably not going to use these colors. I have no idea what colors I'm going to use, but I've looked at this one many times. Over the past couple of years, past several years actually, but I never bought it. But when I saw it on the website, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get it, and I did. So these were the 2 patterns that I ordered initially, along with Painted Wings, and this was my pattern replacement pattern for Painted Wings. This is Rosetta by Ink Circles. So all 3 of these are ink circles. I like that a lot. Obviously, I bought it, right? And the last thing I got, I don't know why I'm on this flower kick. I'm on a flower kick lately and a bird kick. I just thought this was pretty and it was on sale, and so I went old school, kicking it old school with the Dimensions kit. So it's with 18 count Ada and a whole lot of floss. So I like that a lot for some reason. It's very rich. It's very, yeah, I really like that. So I think that is all I have to show you today. Just wanted to pop in and do a quick update. I plan to upload this next Friday, maybe. So if I get any significant progress on my peacocks and posies before the week is out, I'll be back with another quick update. Maybe my Jacobean tree will be in. I can show it to you. But other than that, that's all I got for now. So happy stitching, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye.